I'm Rob LeBay, and I hope you're having a great day. Last night, I competed in PokeaimM's best Battle Stadium singles tournament, and I ended up actually winning the whole thing. And so I wanted to talk through the team that I used and some strategies. And I realized that there's not a lot of Battle Stadium singles content on YouTube, and so maybe this will give you a helpful place to start if you're interested in trying it out. This is the official singles format on Ladder. This video is not me talking about whether 6v6 should exist or things like that. It should, but this is the format we have on Ladder. And maybe if you're interested in playing it, here's a team that can help you. And there was 11 people in the tournament, which isn't a lot, but I was able to win and win 4 matches on stream, which was really, really cool. So we're going to look at this team. And so I have the information here, and then in a little bit, I'll show the rental. So you'll have some options for you. So for those who are unfamiliar, Battle Stadium singles is you have 6 Pokemon, but you only bring 3 in a singles format. And so it's a shorter version of singles, and those are the decisions you need to make when coming into it. So I'll go in order, and then I'll kind of talk about how I play this team and some adjustments you can make to make this team fit your own style. So for me, as the video title mentioned, we have here Choice Scarf Ditto. His very first match, max HP. The HP stat is the only thing that Ditto keeps when it transforms, and the Choice Scarf is there so you can go faster than everything. I'll explain why this is so broken in a little bit, but like this, I brought this to every match, and when I've been playing on Ladder, I bring this to almost every match that I can. Below that, we have Mega Kangaskhan. It's really nice. You get really strong stab fake out, especially if you Mega Evolve. Drain Punch for recovery. Sucker Punch, so you're always going first. And Double Edge if you just want to do lots of damage. Kang is just there to do damage and like consistent strong damage, and it can take a couple of hits. Then we have Talonflame. Talonflame is not one I bring a lot necessarily. This Talonflame there with Defog, you're able to get rid of the hazards. So if your opponent leads with hazards, you can get rid of them. We have Gale Wings so that we can keep Gale Wings, for those who don't know, when you have full health, your flying moves have priority. It's part of the reason we have 3. We have Tailwind if I feel speed is necessary. I will say Tailwind in singles is not as powerful as in doubles, since you lose the turn that you are tailwinding. So it's not as helpful, but in best of 3, when there's only 3 mons, sometimes the Tailwind can be super helpful for things in the back. Acrobatics for very strong stab, and that's why this Talonflame, if you've noticed, has no items, so you can get priority acrobatics online immediately. And this is really strong into, especially like any grass or fighting types that are there. My Talonflame is really good, especially into like Mega Meganium. And then we, of course, have Flare Bits just for some fire stab. Though, truthfully, I'm not clicking Flare Bits very often with Talonflame, even in front of mons that are weak to fire. Our next Mega is Floette. Now, I know that this is an evil mon, so if you don't have a Floette or want to use something, a different sort of special attacker, I think you totally could. We have Moonblast here instead of Light of Ruin, just because it's more consistent. And with Calm Mind, Moonblast is doing a lot to, it's doing you're two-shotting everything in the format. Moonblast, a calm-minded Floette is still two-shotting a Mega Aggron, for example. And then you have Draining Kiss for healing, and then you have Protect. I use the same set for my doubles Floette, but I thought it worked well here in singles. I didn't bring it a lot, but it was there if I needed it, just because there's a lot of the really good BSS Pokemon, I think, have good matchups into Floette, like a lot of Steel types, for instance, are running in the format. And then we have Garchomp to deal with some of those Steel types. This Garchomp is actually incredibly bulky, and when we show the stats in a second, you'll see why. But Garchomp has leftovers and rough skin, so it's there to, do some chip damage on maybe mons that aren't expecting it. We do have Earthquake, just good stab. Rock Slide, just because I think that's nice to have, especially in a format where, you don't see lots of Mega Charizards, I think, in BSS, but it's just nice to have. And you do see lots of Talonflame, so it's a nice response to. Scale Shot is there. Since this Garchomp is bulky, it's not outspeeding anything, lots of as many things as you'd expect it to. especially because lots of Garchomps run Choice Scarf. So this is kind of a nice adaptation. But with Scale Shot, you're able to get that speed increase. And then you have Outrage. Outrage is pretty good, especially in singles, because you don't have to worry about it targeting the wrong mon. And if you know they don't have any fairies in the back, you can just click Outrage and do lots of damage with Stab. And then last but not least, we have Skarmory. Skarmory is there to set hazards. You can set a Stealth Rock, which I think is super, like Stealth Rock is, I think, so strong in this format. There's lots of fire flying types that do not want to hit Stealth Rock. And then you have Spikes. If you're able to get Spikes up, that gives you just a little bit more and a little bit more chip damage. But I would say Stealth Rock is probably most important of this of the hazards here, just because you're hitting more mon. Then you have Whirlwind, and if people are not expecting this tech, this can absolutely take over games. I'll talk about it a little bit more when we're doing the stat spread, but Skarmory is like a really good skill check to players that are new. I won like I'm not kidding, like 6 games on ladder in a row, just leading Skarmory, putting Stealth Rock, Spikes, and then just clicking Whirlwind like 5 or 6 times until they figured out that there was nothing that they could do. Then you can Roost if you have time. I'm often not clicking Roost. I'm often letting my Skarmory die. But if I feel that I can heal up and just keep whirlwinding, I will. Whirlwind is a reminder for those who are unfamiliar. GOAT has a lower priority, so it's a lower priority bracket, not quite as low as Trick Room, but it's up there, or down there, I guess. And so Whirlwind, you can't always get it off. Nice thing about Skarmory is we have Sturdy, so we know we're at least taking 1 hit, especially in singles. We don't have to worry. And I don't think there's really any 2-shotting hits that are going to knock out Skarmory. Like, sure, you can get Scale Shot into it, but it's going to live. Especially it's really bulky. We have Citrus Berry here. I found that the reason I picked Citrus over Leftovers is I found that Skarmory is there, but I don't need it to be there for like 6 or 7 turns where Leftovers is worth it. I really want it there for 3 or 4 turns. And so I found that when you were hitting, like, I just found the 25% more useful for Skarmory with the healing. It's also nice because if you get brought down to Sturdy, then you get that quarter back. And so if the Mon was expecting to, like, the next turn kill you with like a priority move that's less strong, you might be able to live it. And so we're going to actually now look at the spreads itself, and then we'll kind of talk through how this team plays. So here are the spreads. Feel free to play with this as you wish. This is a new format, and so I think, IV, so all the EVs and stuff, like, feel free to be creative, but you can do what you want. So we have Ditto. Again, Ditto only copies its HP stats, so you should always max it out. And I just have max speed because this Ditto wants to be fast. And then I just put a stat in special defense and defense just for vibes. Doesn't really matter. Then you have Kangaskhan here. This Kangaskhan is max HP, max attack. You're just trying to do damage, and the max HP is there because double edge, you take recoil, and it becomes fairly tanky. You get it has a pretty decent HP stat, especially once you, as a reminder, when you mega, right, your HP stat is the one thing that can't change in terms of stats. So having max HP Kangaskhan was really nice. We have Talonflame here. This is pretty much the speed is there for the bump, the point bump, and then your max attack just to do damage, and then just a little bit of HP. Part of that is originally just because you do a little bit of recoil with Flare Blitz. Originally, I had Brave Bird on this team, but I really hated that I would lose Gale Wings after using it, and so that's why I switched to the Acrobatics with no item tech. Then you have Floette. This Floette is max HP and actually max defense. People are not really expecting that. And I feel like a lot of the Floette attackers are physical attackers that want to hurt it. And so I thought the defense was great, but if you feel it's more helpful to put in special defense, I think go for it. And we're modest so that we can do some damage. We can continue to do damage. This Floette, with Calm Mind, we want it to live a turn or 2, and if we're able to get a Calm Mind, pretty much we're surviving almost any special attack. And then if we can Drain Kiss up, we can do well. And with like a Calm Mind with Floette, you can actually like keep up like with health with even like steel types that resist it. Like Corviknight thinks it has a good matchup into Floette, and it does, but if Floette gets 2 Calm Mind boosts, like Corviknight is actually in a bad position. Next, you have Garchomp. This Garchomp is meant to be pretty bulky, as you can see. So we have attack, and that attack stats there to hit the lowest bump, because there's multiple bumps that you can get. And then we're pretty good on HP. The 206 there is to maximize the leftovers. I realize now, looking at it, should be 208. So a reminder, if you want leftovers to be 116, divide into 16, since it's the most, basically you get the most bang for your buck with leftovers if your HP stat is that. So I would probably readjust this, maybe take 2 points out of special defense and put in HP just to do that. But like I said, play around. As you can see, this Garchomp has no speed investment whatsoever, and so that's why Scale Shot can be nice if you need it. And last, we got Skarmory. Again, full defense on this. And full HP, just so you can live moves in this max defense. Earlier, I had body press on this, but basically, I had body press on this, and then I had spikes on my Garchomp, and I was like, that doesn't make sense to me to have one hazard users and one not, so I converted it all together. So now that we've talked about this team a little bit, and we're going to go back to looking at the moves, how do you play it? So best Battle Stadium Singles, like I said, is an interesting format because you have 6 and you bring 3. So typically what I like to do with this team is I will have one of my kind of support mons to start, usually. So most of the time, and if you watched last night, 3 of the 4 matches I started with Skarmory. Like I said, Skarmory is an amazing skill check on Battle Stadium Singles ladder. If people are not used to singles, they're not used to hazards, and they're not used to why hazards can be such a big deal. You might think, oh, hazards are not a big deal when you only have 3 because you have less switching, but I still think it can take over a game if you're not planning for it. And I think if you are competing in Best Battle Stadium Singles, you should at least have some consideration of hazards. I don't think you have to have it, but you can. One helpful thing that I have also used is I use a Slurpuff with a Sticky Web, and so on a very similar team, and basically Slurpuff would basically guarantee the speed advantage for everything else, and then you could attack. But I thought it was more helpful to have the chip damage, and so that's why I really often lead with Skarmory. I'd say probably most of my games I lead with Skarmory. Not lots of things can do lots of damage to it, and even if you try to one-shot it, you can't with its ability with Sturdy. And I also think I love the shiny for Skarmory, and my Skarmory shiny. So you often lead with Skarmory, but there are times you might want to lead with Talonflame, especially if if the matchup looks a little suspect. You're facing, like I said, Meganium is a really nice, Talonflame's a really nice answer into that, and also a nice answer into snow and any snow sorts of things. So you have your Flare Blitz there if you need it. So sometimes you lead with Talonflame. With both Talonflame and Skarmory, I want them there, but they're not necessarily there to be. They're not necessarily there to be there the whole game, and so I don't mind sacrificing them. Basically, with this team, you start with one of those 2 leads most of the time, and then you go to one of your megas, typically, and then you have Choice Scarf Ditto in the back. Garchomp is there just because sometimes a poison Garchomps, and then since you're so bulky, they might not expect that you'll be able to live, and then also it's really nice if you get Dragon Clawed, you live, and then you Scale Shot back, you knock out, and then all of a sudden you have speed, and then you can just outrage into perpetuity. So sometimes I'll lead with Garchomp, and Garchomp's with its rough skin abilities, just a really nice pivot into physical attackers if you need a little bit of chip. And that's kind of the point of this team, is you want to get a little bit of chip, because Mega Floette or Mega Kangaskhan is going to kill most things if they have a little bit of chip on it. And then if you're in a really tough position, you have Choice Scarf Ditto. And so I would say a majority of the time I'm actually bringing Kangaskhan over Floette, just because, like I said, lots of things that bother Floette are pretty popular in Battle Stadium Singles, such as the Wall, who was a big factor in the tournament last night. But even with that, Floette, like I said, calm-minded, it moonblasted Mega Aggron, and it did 70% to it, which is pretty crazy for a resist move. So Floette is there as sort of if you need a quick nuclear bomb, you have the Floette. But most of the time I'm bringing Kangaskhan. Fake out, like I said, stat fake out is just really powerful. Drain punch for healing, and being able to heal off of other Pokemon, especially my opponent's like leftovers Pokemon, is just really nice for sustainability. Sucker Punch is really lots of good ghost types, and then Sucker Punch is just really good for finishing things off. Like I said, you get that chip damage. Like if you get like 30% chip on something, right? Maybe Stealth Rock, you get a little attack on it, you come and fake it out, and then you Sucker Punch, you're knocking out so many things in this format. Like I said, Floette, I don't bring a lot, but when I do, I'm usually trying to set her up. And she can be a really nice surprise win condition. And so, for instance, last night when I played 4 matches. The first 3 matches I led with Skarmory. The last match I saw that they had the wall, and as you can see, this team doesn't have the best answers to it. And so I brought Garchomp, but I led with Floette so I could calm mind immediately and start moonblasting and start draining, kissing, and just getting chip on a whole bunch of things. And then last, you have the real MVP, the real demon of this team, which is Choice Scarf Ditto. I can't tell you, like, the title of this video, or like the thumbnail, like, Ditto is a menace in this format. And here's why. The things that my team does not counter very well can counter itself. And so I'll give you some examples. Mega Aggron doesn't want to take its own body press. Oh, you brought in a Mega Gengar to shadow tag me? That's really cool. Now I brought in my Mega Gengar that is Choice Scarfing faster than your Mega Gengar, and I'm going to shadow ball you to death, right? And so what often happens is I lose the Skarmory or the Talonflame, and in the right positions, you bring in Ditto next, you kill whatever it is, and everything that's coming in is just taking chip, and you're just attacking, you're just doing lots of things. And so Ditto can be an amazing pivot piece. For instance, yesterday I played a team that was a mono water team, and my team is really actually pretty weak into that. We don't have any water resist. And so I, of course, brought in my Ditto with their water Rotom Wash. And so I had some electric moves. And so Ditto is really nice because you can just co-opt some of the strengths of the opponent's team. But with Ditto, you just have to be very careful with the way you're playing. And that's my only caution against Ditto. I think Ditto is actually, like, I can't imagine doing this format without Ditto, but you always have to think about where is Ditto coming in and how am I using it if you're going to bring it to the match. But essentially, this team is bring some disruption up front, whether I'm adding speed for myself, getting rid of their hazards, or just doing some immediate damage, or I'm getting my hazards up. Then I bring in the Mega of my choice, and then I bring in Ditto, which is often like covering their Mega. And like Ditto has saved me so many games. I've been down 1-3 in so many games, but Choice Scarf Ditto just comes in and bam. Like I faced a Mega Blastoise team. They shell smashed. They were probably like, oh, GG, shake my hand. And then I brought in my Choice Scarf Ditto, and Dark Pulse like basically one-shotted it, even though it wasn't resisted, because I adopted this shell smash. And that's why Choice Scarf Ditto is so impactful. You steal their boosts that they spent all that time getting, and then you take it for yourself. And then from there, you're able to take advantage, right? Sometimes the only way to beat a wall, Mega Aggron, is just a stronger and faster wall. And so that's the really nice thing about Ditto is like it can just reverse sweep lots of things. And it's not too hard to reverse sweep in a format that is, only 3 Pokemon. So hopefully this is helpful for you. If you're interested in considering Battle Stadium singles, as a reminder, this is what the team ID and the spreads. And I think this is really fun. If you don't want to use this exact team, I think you can still take some of the principles of have some sort of lead that creates disruption. Then you have a Mega that's doing lots of damage. And then for me, my Ditto is always acting as like trying to steal whatever their best mon is. But use what's best for you. I think some pieces on this team are pretty changeable. So if you want to use a different special attacking like setup mon, I think you don't have to use Floette. I know lots of you don't have Floette. And then I think I really like Talonflame, but I could see a world where you could get speed control through other means. And then Garchomp, I really like Garchomp, especially into other Garchomps with the way it's built. I think there's lots of viable dragons in this format, but you just have to be careful because, as I mentioned, there's lots of steel types. there could be a world where you might want like a fighting type on this team, or you do have draining, draining punch from Kangaskhan, but it might be nice to have stab. So, anyways, hopefully this has been helpful for you. And it was a really cool experience last night to do some stream matches in front of everyone. There was another Rob in the tournament, and unfortunately, he was eliminated in the first round, and so I had to win for all the Robs out there. So, if you're a Rob out there, you should like and subscribe. And if you're not a Rob, and you find this interesting, please feel free to like and subscribe. I'm probably not going to post a lot of champions content in the next month, just because at the beginning, in the middle of May, I'm competing in the Regulation I tournament for Los Angeles, and I don't want to get my brain too much in a different format where I will not do well. But expect other things for champions right after that. And I'm hoping soon to post a recap from my experience at the Las Vegas Regional in November, where I may or may not have faced a very, very, very famous person in my first round, but we'll wait on that. So I hope you have a wonderful day. And once again, I'm Rob Obey.